Supremus.
Okay, so I think we should begin. Good evening to all the panelists and participants of today's webinar. Over the past 2 weeks, we have been deliberating on the National Education Policy 2020 from various viewpoints. That itself speaks about the significance of the new policy in the academic circles. In fact, no stakeholder can afford to remain ignorant of the prospects and possibilities it offers, as also the challenges and apprehensions it raises. It is with this view that the IQAC of FMNC arranged a webinar series which would throw light on the various aspects of this new policy. Today, we are moving on to the last lap of the webinar series. We are privileged to have with us today Dr. P. Ajayakumar, Pro Vice Chancellor of the Kerala University, to share his views with us. Seeking the blessings of the Almighty, over to the proceedings of the day. I invite Dr. S. Parvati, Dean of Arts, to welcome the gathering. Dr. Parvati.
Respected Chairman of the webinar series on NEP, Manager Reverend Father Anil Jose, Coordinator of the webinar series and Principal of FMN College, Dr. Vincent Netto, our Prom Manager, Reverend Father Abhilash Grigory, today's resource person, Dr. P. Ajayakumar, Pro Vice Chancellor, University of Kerala, General Convener, Dr. Shaiju P.N., Organizing Secretary, Dr. Saju S., Dr. Supriya, Moderator of the seminar, members of the faculty of our college, and other participants of this webinar. The National Education Policy 2020 outlines the vision of India's new education system. As Supriya mentioned, to elucidate and conceive the outcomes of NEP 2020, constructive discussion and deliberations among the stakeholders are proposed. In this context, IQAC of Fatima Mother National College envisages a webinar series whereby the renowned personalities speak on the pros and cons of the educational policy. This conference, which is the fourth and the last in the NEP webinar series, hopes to engage the academic fraternity in a meaningful dialogue towards spreading awareness about the NEP and its ramifications. I deem it my privilege to welcome the dignitaries of this seminar. At the outset, I sincerely extend a warm welcome to our manager, Reverend Father Anil Jose, Chairman of the webinar. Dr. Vincent Netto, our principal, is a person who is at once an eminent academician and an able administrator. As a coordinator of the webinar series, he has extended his valuable contribution towards bringing eminent resource persons to interact with us on national education policy. On behalf of the IQAC and on my own behalf, I extend a very warm welcome to you, dear Vincent sir. Reverend Father Abhilash Grigory, our Pro Manager, is an enterprising spirit who extends his full support and cooperation to all programs we organize. Today, he is present here to deliver the benedictory address. A warm welcome to you, Reverend Father. Our resource person is the Pro Vice Chancellor of the University of Kerala, Dr. P. Ajayakumar. He is well known as a distinguished academician who has a large number of research publications to his credit, including articles, translations, and edited books. He is a renowned administrator, editor of a well-known literary journal, eminent speaker, and a regular participant in literary and socio-cultural discourses. Today, he is with us to deliver a talk on national education policy amidst his busy schedule as a Pro Vice Chancellor. On behalf of the IQAC and on behalf of the Fatima family, I extend to you, respected sir, a very cordial welcome. It is my pleasure to welcome the General Convener of this webinar and IQAC Coordinator, Dr. Shaiju P.N., the Organizing Secretary, Dr. Saju S., to this seminar. It is my pleasure to welcome Dr. Supriya M. of the Department of English, who is the moderator of today's webinar. Next, I would like to welcome all the participants of this seminar, members of our faculty, the faculty of other colleges, students, and well-wishers. A very warm welcome to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Regina. Thank you, Parvati. Our Pro Manager, Reverend Father Abhilash Grigory's gracious presence was with us all through the webinar series. Father pointed out in one of his earlier speeches that not just the education policy, the teachers too have to keep themselves updated to meet the demands of the changing times. I request Reverend Father to offer the benedictory address. Father, please.
ദേശീയ വിദ്യാഭ്യാസ നയത്തെക്കുറിച്ചുള്ള ഈ വെബിനാറിൽ പങ്കെടുക്കാനെത്തിയ ആദരണീയ സദസ്സിന് എൻ്റെ സ്നേഹവന്ദനം. ഈ വിദ്യാഭ്യാസ നയത്തിനെ 2 ചോദ്യങ്ങൾ കൊണ്ട് അളന്നെടുക്കാൻ സാധിക്കുമെന്നാണ് ഞാൻ കരുതുന്നത്. ഒന്ന്, ആർക്ക് വേണ്ടിയാണ് ഈ വിദ്യാഭ്യാസ നയം? എന്തിനു വേണ്ടിയാണ് ഈ വിദ്യാഭ്യാസ നയം? അറിവ് നേടുക ഔദാര്യമല്ല, അവകാശമാണ് എന്നാണ് നാം കരുതുന്നത്. ഓരോ വ്യക്തിക്കും ഉള്ള അവകാശമാണ് അറിവ് നേടുക എന്നുള്ളത്. എല്ലാവർക്കും അറിവ് നേടുവാനുള്ള അവകാശമുണ്ട്. പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് പാവപ്പെട്ടവർക്കും പാർശ്വവൽക്കരിക്കപ്പെട്ടവർക്കും ദളിതർക്കും ഈ ലോകത്തിൻ്റെ ഏത് തുറയിലുള്ളവർക്കും അറിവ് നേടുവാനുള്ള അവകാശമുണ്ട്. പരിശുദ്ധ ഫ്രാൻസിസ് പാപ്പ എല്ലാവർക്കും വളരെയധികം സുപരിചിതനും ഇഷ്ടവുമുള്ള അദ്ദേഹം ഒക്ടോബർ 3 ഒരു ചാക്രിക ലേഖനം പുറത്തിറക്കി. അതിൻ്റെ പേര് ഫ്രatelli tutti എന്നാണ്. അതിൽ അദ്ദേഹം വിദ്യാഭ്യാസം എന്ന വാക്ക് 11 തവണ ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. അദ്ദേഹം പറയുന്ന ഒരു സെൻറ്റൻസ് പ്രകാരമാണ് പ്രൊമോട്ടിങ് ആക്സസ് ടു എഡ്യൂക്കേഷൻ. എഡ്യൂക്കേഷനിലേക്കുള്ള ഒരു ആക്സസ് എല്ലാവർക്കും തുറന്നു കിട്ടണം എന്ന് ഒരാഗ്രഹം അദ്ദേഹം പ്രകടിപ്പിക്കുകയുണ്ടായി. അപ്പോൾ ഈ വിദ്യാഭ്യാസ നയം പാവപ്പെട്ടവർക്ക് എത്രമാത്രം ഉപയോഗപ്രദമാകും എന്ന ഒരു ചോദ്യം കൊണ്ട് ഈ വിദ്യാഭ്യാസ നയത്തിൻ്റെ ആഴവും അതിൻ്റെ വ്യാപ്തിയും നമുക്ക് അളന്നെടുക്കുവാൻ സാധിക്കും. രണ്ടാമതൊരു ചോദ്യം, എന്തിനു വേണ്ടിയാണ് ഈ വിദ്യാഭ്യാസ നയം, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഏതൊരു നയമാണെങ്കിലും എന്തിനു വേണ്ടിയാണ് എന്ന് നമ്മൾ ചോദിക്കേണ്ടതുണ്ട്. അപ്പം വിദ്യാഭ്യാസം എന്തിനു വേണ്ടിയാണ്? വിദ്യാഭ്യാസ നയരൂപീകരണം എന്തിനു വേണ്ടിയാണ്? സത്യത്തിൽ വിദ്യാഭ്യാസമൊക്കെ നമ്മെ നയിക്കേണ്ടത് ഒരു മൂല്യബോധത്തിലേക്കാണ്. അറിവ് മാത്രമല്ല, അറിവ് സ്നേഹത്തിൻ്റെ പ്രവൃത്തികളായി രൂപാന്തരപ്പെടുത്തുന്ന ഒരു സ്നേഹത്തിൻ്റെ സംസ്കാരം രൂപപ്പെടുത്താൻ, ഒരു സാഹോദര്യത്തിൻ്റെ സംസ്കാരം രൂപപ്പെടുത്താൻ, സഹിഷ്ണുതയുടെ സംസ്കാരം രൂപപ്പെടുത്തുവാൻ വിദ്യാഭ്യാസം സഹായിക്കണം. അപ്പോൾ ഈ വിദ്യാഭ്യാസ നയം ഭാരതത്തിൻ്റെ പുതുതലമുറയ്ക്ക് സ്നേഹത്തിൻ്റെ സംസ്കാരം രൂപപ്പെടുത്തുവാൻ ഉപകരിക്കുന്നതാണോ, സാഹോദര്യത്തിൻ്റെ സംസ്കാരം രൂപപ്പെടുത്താൻ ഉപകരിക്കുന്നതാണോ, സഹിഷ്ണുതയുടെ സംസ്കാരം രൂപപ്പെടുത്താൻ ഉപകരിക്കുന്നതാണോ എന്നൊരു ചോദ്യം കൊണ്ട് നമുക്ക് വീണ്ടും ഈ വിദ്യാഭ്യാസ നയത്തിൻ്റെ ആഴവും വ്യാപ്തിയും അളക്കാം. ഇന്ന് നമ്മുടെ ഈ വിദ്യാഭ്യാസ നയത്തിൻ്റെ ആഴവും വ്യാപ്തിയും നമുക്ക് മനസ്സിലാക്കി തരുന്നതിന് വേണ്ടി നമ്മുടെ ബഹുമാനപ്പെട്ട വൈസ് ചാൻസലർ അജയകുമാർ സാറുണ്ട്. ഒരുപാട് രാജ്യങ്ങൾ സന്ദർശിച്ച് ഒരുപാട് സംസ്കാരങ്ങളെ അടുത്തറിഞ്ഞ അദ്ദേഹത്തിൻ്റെ ആദരണീയമായ വാക്കുകൾ നമുക്ക് ശ്രവിക്കാം. അങ്ങനെ ഈ വിദ്യാഭ്യാസ നയത്തെക്കുറിച്ചുള്ള കൂടുതൽ ആഴത്തിലുള്ള അറിവ് നേടുന്നതിന് വേണ്ടി നമുക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും സാധിക്കട്ടെ. ദൈവം നമ്മെ ഓരോരുത്തരെയും അനുഗ്രഹിക്കട്ടെ.
Thank you so much, Father, for the meaningful message that you gave, that the new education policy should evolve a culture of love and tolerance. Thank you, Father. It was our principal, Dr. Vincent B. Netto's suggestion that not just one webinar, only webinar series will bring out the entire scope of the new policy. He believes that every rereading of the policy adds a whole new dimension to it. I invite our principal to render the presidential address. Please, sir.
Sir, please unmute your microphone, sir.
Esteemed guest of the day, Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, Dr. Ajayakumar PP, respected Manager, Reverend Father Abhilash Gregory, esteemed dignitaries, teacher fraternity, and my dear students. After 34 years, India is witnessing a series of deliberations, discourse, debates, discussions on National NEP 2020. And this policy is a paradigm shift in that it synthesizes so many factors, particularly which we can give it bring under 5 heads. It is aligning education with employment and believing that autonomy is the key to excellence. Autonomy has proved very beneficial to IITs, IIMs, ISERs, universities. And giving autonomy to so many institutions, the NEP believes can guarantee excellence and efficiency in the system. NEP also believes that in a technology-rich setting, which speaks of a shift from a morphine from smart classes to smart spaces. University and higher educational institutions should involve in the sweet synthesis of algorithm and altruism. Multidisciplinarity, they believe, can be a solution to the generations to come in solving several problems of the society. School, a connecting hub. And it also believes that we need to sustain wholesome culture rather than saving templates for outmoded civilizations. But then there are certain apprehensions, certain drawbacks, which we have been deliberating over the days. And today, I don't want to prolong, we have a very eminent person who has been in the education field for the last 30 years and more, contributing in the several arenas of knowledge. And the Fatimite group believes that it's a privilege conferred on them to listen to the Pro Vice Chancellor and begin thinking about how this policy can be successful in its implementation stage. What are the problems that has to be addressed that the teacher fraternity, the bureaucrats, the politicians, the student group should garner as to educate or conscientize the policy framers as well as the policy implementers so that the country may have a leap to progress and excellence. Thank you. I wish a very meaningful evening, a very fruitful discussion. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir. Now we are moving on to the main event of the session, the talk on NEP by Ajayakumar sir. Just a brief introduction on Ajayakumar sir. Dr. Ajayakumar, who is currently the Pro Vice Chancellor of the Kerala University, has served in various capacities as Director, Institute of Distance Education, University of Kerala, Special Officer, IDE Learners Support Centers, faculty member of the IDE and various government colleges. He is the editor of the much acclaimed literary journal, LitCrit, an Indian Response to Literature, which is in the UGC Care List of Journals. The list of articles, edited books, translations, paper presentations in international and national seminars to his credit is quite extensive. Ajayakumar sir has done faculty enrichment program in the University of Toronto, Canada. He holds membership in various academic bodies and research organizations. Sir, we eagerly look forward to hear you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much for the nice introduction. Respected dignitaries, Reverend Father Arun Jose, Principal Dr. Vincent B. Netto, Dr. Sujay, Dr. Sai, dear participants. I have been participating in discussions on new education policy because a lot of such discussions were going on at various places and locations all over India during the last 3 to 4 months. We all know that the new education policy is basically a policy, and we are not sure how it will be executed in the coming months and years. Anyway, I think we have got a kind of a draft regulation for the future programs or future structure of higher education and school education in India. And it is also a kind of a historic document because it envisages major changes in the policy as well as in the structure of higher education and basic education, school education in India. So I will my talk will I will mainly focus on higher education because the organizers and the participants are all more interested in higher education sector. So I think those who have read the document note that the aim that has been mentioned in the document is to make India a global knowledge superpower. That is a very big aim, a global knowledge superpower. Maybe taking about 25 to 30 years. This is the kind of aim that has been mentioned in the document. And at the same time, it also mentions about instilling deep-rooted pride in being Indian and imbibe the spirit, intellect, and the knowledge, skills, and values. And we find that it is a kind of a document which focuses more on the integration of different knowledge systems rather than specialization of knowledge. So the thrust is on integrating different knowledge systems. It says that there should not be any difference between art, science, and various faculties because there should be a kind of integration of different knowledge systems for the holistic development of every student. So there is a kind of focus on integration and holistic development. And it also mentions about major changes in the concept of a university and a college. According to the document, all other terms like deemed university, affiliating technical university, military university, all these terms will go. There will be only one term, that is university. And according to the experts, university is an institution which involves all kinds of teaching learning processes. That means from engineering to fine art. All should come together in a university. That is what is meant by university. In Malayalam, we call it Karma Kalasala. And the actual word meaning of that suits to this kind of understanding of university. And a college is not a small institution where art is only taught or science is taught or management is taught, but a college is also, according to the new concept, a big institution that will be about 3,000 students or more than 3,000 students who will engage in studies varying from fine arts to engineering or medical science. So there won't be any exclusive institution for a particular subject now we have medical universities, technical universities, and fisheries universities, and deemed universities for different purposes, etc. But the new education policy envisages institutions, both universities and colleges, that will focus on all kinds of teaching learning process, that is incorporating all subjects. There won't be any kind of exclusive focus on a particular subject. And we find that the basic idea behind this concept is that everything should be studied together. That is, languages, music, philosophy, zoology, art, dance, theater, education, mathematics, statistics, pure science, applied science, sociology, economics, sports, translation, everything should be put together in one institution. And that is a real kind of learning, teaching, because teaching and learning is not limited to the interaction between teachers and students, but the interaction between students, peer group interaction is extremely important. Students can learn a lot from the peer group, not only from teachers, but from among the students. And so the kind of idea is that a large number of students should be put together. Okay. There should be interaction between students and teachers, and also from among students. Students should interact with other students. So this is a kind of idea that the policy puts forward. And another important idea is that there should be a kind of system in which students can enter and exit at various students should be allowed to enter and exit at various points. And the kind of structure that the new education policy propagates is that the degree program should be a 4-year program. I hope you can hear me. The degree program should be a 4-year program, but at the same time, the students should be free to exit in the first year if they wanted to go for another job or another course. They can take an exit in the first year. They will get a certificate, and if they want to go after completing 2 years, they will get a diploma. If they leave at the end of third year, they will get a degree. And if they complete 4th year, they will get a research degree. That is the kind of policy, that is the kind of structure that the new education policy wanted to propagate. We are not sure how far this will be practically useful and suitable for our situation. Anyway, the policy tries to affirm the idea that students should get more freedom to enter and exit, to join and to leave. And this kind of a structure will enable them or provide them enough possibilities for joining at the time that they desire and to leave whenever they like. But at the same time, this either a certificate or a diploma or a degree. And there is a kind of academic bank of credit, ABC, academic bank of credit. And this credit bank will ensure that the students can continue their studies even after breaking. That means if they break at the end of 2 years, they will get a diploma and they can come back after 1 year or 2 years or 3 years and continue the study and get a degree or a research degree. So the kind of flexibility that is ensured by the policy is evident in this kind of a practice. And then the evaluation process should also change. That is what the policy says. Now we have end semester evaluation or annual evaluation, but the policy insists on continuous evaluation, continuous and comprehensive evaluation. Now we know that we are burdened with the examination. At the end of every semester, there is an examination, and the evaluation of end semester evaluation or annual evaluation has its own drawback. So, in the place of end semester evaluation, the policy envisages continuous evaluation. That is, every day the evaluation should take place. Teachers should evaluate the candidates continuously and to give a kind of grade or mark. And I think educationals worldwide are now recommending this kind of a policy because we find that nowadays the ability of the candidate, the knowledge level of the candidate, the skill of the candidate is considered to be more important than the degree or the marks or the grade. The grade and the marks, they are just indicators of certain level of understanding. But what matters most is the skill and the ability and the knowledge, actual knowledge of the candidate. So while applying for a job, while joining for an interview or appearing for an interview, what is considered most is the skill of the candidate and not the degree or the mark. So it is from that kind of a point of view that the education policy insists on the continuous evaluation, and it says that the candidate should have a kind of knowledge which enables him to go for a particular kind of job at the end of the program. So we find that a kind of total change is going to happen with the introduction of the new education policy. And at the same time, there are several questions that are being raised. And one such important question is regarding the abolition of affiliation of institutions. Now we have affiliating universities and universities that stand alone. And in the case of affiliating universities, the colleges, 100 or 200 or 300 colleges are affiliated with a particular university. And what happens is that the university is burdened with the conduct of examination and evaluation and testing. So according to the new education policy, there won't be any affiliating university. Each university will stand alone and each college will stand alone. But at the same time, there is another clause which says that a college should have at least 3,000 students or more, or it should have the capacity to accommodate 3,000 students or more. Other colleges which do not have that kind of infrastructure and other staff and equipment will have to either discontinue or to be attached to the university as constituent college or something like that. So that is certainly something. This is a kind of a suggestion that will be implemented within 15 years. So in 15 years' time, each college is supposed to acquire the infrastructure and other facilities to accommodate at least 3,000 students or more. And this may certainly create having some kind of problem for the colleges, especially in the rural areas, which may not be able to, I think, create infrastructure facilities suitable for this. And we find that when the affiliating system disappears, each college will be an autonomous college, and they will be autonomous academically and administratively. That is the kind of idea. We don't know whether or what is the actual meaning of the total autonomy of this institution. What are the various ramifications connected with it? And similarly, the kind of autonomy that is given to colleges in the academic and administrative level can create problems for the management and the teachers and the students as well. So we are not sure, we are not clear about the kind of impact that it may create in the future. And another thing is that the new education policy focuses on universities as institutions of teaching and research. According to the policy, there could be two different kinds of universities. That is, universities that focus more on research, and universities that focus more on teaching. So, different kinds of universities are there. That is, research-intensive universities that focus more on research, than teaching-intensive universities that focus more on teaching. And the other is autonomous colleges. So these are the three kinds of institutions that are going to exist after about 16 years or 20 years. Every college would develop into an autonomous college. They will develop the syllabus and the degree, and keeping research, supporting other higher education institutions, community engagement, contribution to various fields of practice, faculty development, support to school education, everything. All these are the responsibilities of these colleges. And by 2040, all higher education institutions shall aim to become a multidisciplinary institution. No arts college, no science college, no engineering college, no medical college. All institutions will be multidisciplinary. So by 2030, there should be one multidisciplinary institution in every district. The open learning should also be attached to every higher education institution. That is the kind of concept. So, as I told you before, the concept is to impart a holistic kind of education to all students. A holistic kind of education. By holistic education, it means that students should be given exposure to all kinds of knowledge systems, not just to science or art, but to all kinds of education, all kinds of knowledge systems. And the policy also envisages 5-year integrated program, degree and PG together, and integrated program will have or that means a kind of multidisciplinary syllabus. Students can graduate in certain basic subjects, and then the post-graduation will be in a particular area of study. So it also tries to instruct the institutions to develop an institutional development plan. Institutional development plan. And the institutional development plan should focus on the future development of the institution, and all decisions of the institution should be based on this particular plan for the future. And it also tries to refer to the kind of services that is to be given to the students. They should be given training in all kinds of skills, and there should be counseling, career guidance, counseling, etc. And so that should be part of the usual curricular practices within the institution. So we find that all big civilizations bases itself on strong knowledge society. So the development of a knowledge society is very much essential for the development of a civilization. If our country has to develop as a big civilization, we should develop into a knowledge society. That means mass education is extremely essential for the development of a country, a civilization. And the new education policy aims at the development of such a civilization and development of our country as a knowledge society. But at the same time, we find that a lot of criticisms have been raised against the policy, and one of the basis for that criticism is the kind of withdrawal that the government is making from the that is the government is trying to withdraw itself from funding the education. Even though the government tries to say that 6% of the GDP will be spent for higher education, the policy also indirectly suggests that the institution should go on its own, and the funding will not be there for the kind of infrastructure and the kind of things that is being done at present. So I think it raises a lot of questions as well. We will have to discuss all these things in future, and I think I will come back to the original comment that I made, that this is a policy, and we have to wait and see how this is being implemented. And I think a lot of importance is there for the kind of implementation that is being done. And how it is being implemented is equally important. And the policy basically is a document that visualizes the development of a kind of knowledge society in future. At the same time, it doesn't answer most of the questions that are resident in the policy itself about the kind of implementation. So I think we will have to wait and see for the final outcome. So thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your comprehensive and in-depth survey of the policy, bringing out the policy in all the facets of it, both the theoretical propositions it raises and also the practical difficulties involved in its implementation. Thank you, sir. Now the platform is open for the participants for the question and answer session. You can raise your questions, your clarifications, and also your suggestions. I hand over this session to Dr. Shaiju sir, IQAC coordinator, whose earnest efforts have made this webinar series a reality for us. Shaiju sir, please take over the session, sir.
Thank you, teacher. Participants, can you please raise your questions either in the chat box or in the question answer session, or you can raise your hand so that we will open your mic and you can directly make questions to the persons. Please kindly make the questions at the earliest. Hello, can you hear me, sir? Hello, sir. Hello.
There's connection. Okay, he's there.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Yes.
Hello, is it audible, sir? It's audible, sir. Hello. Is it audible, sir?
Yes.
So there is a question from the participant. NEP 2020, is it the national education policy? There is a news that the national education policy will be implemented from 2021 onwards. Is it true, sir?
So that has to be decided by the central ministry has approved that, so it can be implemented from now onwards. So anyway, from 2020 or 21, it can be implemented. So since it is approved, it can be implemented from this year onwards.
So there was a news. There was a news in the newsletters that there's a timeline for starting those programs step-by-step manner without spending much money. Some of the recommendations may be implemented from 2021 onwards, such as the program which is get transferred into a 4-year program or a 5-year program. So that can be started.
Some of the universities already have this 4-year program. So it will be started, I think. It won't be started from this year. Maybe from next year, from 2021 academic year, it will be started. Because we find that we didn't get any order from UGC so far. So this is already, now we are in October. So I don't think the implementation will be from 2020 onwards. It may be from 2021-22 academic year onwards.
So regarding the recent announcement from the government of Kerala that there will be some new courses which will be started in November 1st of this year, shall it can be connected with NEP, sir?
That is actually not connected with the national education policy. That is a decision by the Kerala government, not connected with national education policy.
But the courses that are listed in that particular program is having some connection with those programs which are proposed by the because there are 4-year or multidisciplinary.
Similar programs are there. Programs were before. That is not something new. So it is a decision, I think, decision made by the Kerala government. It is not part of the implementation of the national education policy. That has to be initiated by the central government and the UGC.
Okay, sir. So participants, if any questions, please ask at the earliest. There are no more questions from the audience now, sir. Teacher,
Thank you. There were
Suprati sir.
problems because some.
Suprati sir, can you please?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Sir, may I ask one question? Will too much of importance given to regional languages, will it actually make English in a way a language of the elite, accessible only to a select few? Will that happen? It is one of the apprehensions raised about.
I don't, because even though in the beginning there was such a kind of a discussion, I think the government has clarified that English will continue to be the medium of instruction in the central schools and various schools. So I think it is not mandatory that regional language should be the medium in all schools up to 5th. It is not mandatory.
Okay, sir.
So I don't think so. I don't think there will be any problem like that.
Thank you. If there are no more questions, I think we can move on to the final part of our session, vote of thanks. I invite Professor Anne Varghese of Department of Mathematics, IQAC member, to propose the vote of thanks. Anne?
Good evening, one and all. Respected Principal, Honorable Resource Person Dr. Ajayakumar sir, Reverend Manager, Pro Manager, and all dear participants. First of all, bowing my head before the Lord Almighty for His blessings on us, and Fatima Mada for her intercession throughout this webinar series. On behalf of the college, management, IQAC, organizing committee, staff, and students, I express our sincere gratitude to Dr. P.P. Ajayakumar sir, Pro Vice Chancellor, University of Kerala, for sparing his valuable time and sharing his analysis on National Education Policy 2020. Thank you, sir. A heartfelt thanks to the principal, Dr. Vincent B. Netto, sir, for his enthusiastic support, manager, Reverend Father Anil Jose, for his constant encouragement, pro manager, Reverend Father Abhilash Grigory, for his inspiration, and the organizing secretary, Dr. Saju, sir, for his dynamic coordination. Special thanks to the IQAC coordinator, Dr. Shaiju, sir, moderator of this webinar, Dr. Supriya Miss, and the technical committee members, Prijit sir, Dr. Sijin sir, and Nibin sir. A big thanks to dear Fatima fraternity, including academic and administrative staff, students, and all dear participants for your active involvement in this webinar. Thank you one and all.
Thank you, Anne. Vincent sir, with your permission, may I say that the meeting has come to a close?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you one and all for the wholehearted participation all through, which made this a fruitful exercise. Thank you all. The meeting is dispersed. Thank you.
Participants, may please you fill the feedback form so that the certificates will be generated. We will wait for 5 minutes. Then we will close the session after 5 minutes. So please fill the feedbacks.